Hey everyone, Richard Taylor here, Final Cut Pro TV Live. So, let me see, favorite comments. I'm just checking on a few things as we're going live. Oh, that's interesting. Very interesting. Seen by 6. Let me just check on this. Still having a problem with keeping track of live viewers. Live now. Let me turn that on. Favorite comment. There we go. So I'm just going to keep a track of a few things as we're going live. Here we go. First comment. Hello, Richard. How are you doing? I'm not even sure how to pronounce your name, but thanks for tuning in here. So we're going to talk about this Apple event that just happened. I didn't expect it to be a Final Cut Pro event. I'm not sure if anybody else was expecting a Final Cut Pro event, but I certainly was not. A fantastic day for Apple. Now, I'm not sure exactly why you're saying that. I guess you mean because they have a lot of cool new things that came out today. So one of the things that, we'll go over them one at a time. Torgrim says, but must be strange for different Apple software departments when Apple promotes all sorts of third-party developers and hardly mentions any of their own. That we're going to talk about that very specifically, aren't we? Hi, Richard and everyone. There you go. Everybody just give your comments and we'll let them go. I love the colors. You mean the iMac colors, Philip Allen says. I presume you mean the iMac colors, correct? Let me just see here. I think that's what he means. The iMac colors. So Apple introduced AirTags. They introduced a new version of Apple TV Plus 4K that has the the A12 chip. What chip was it in the Apple TV? I don't remember. It wasn't the M1, was it? It was a new chip, the new Apple Silicon chip in the Apple TV. Thank God they have a new Apple remote control. I hate the other one they have now. I have one that's like 2 generations behind. So, here's the desktop. Let me put this over here. I'm going to take a little swig from this right now. Move this over so it's in camera. This is my audio interface. There we go. Just drop the cap. So we have a lot to talk about specifically today because even though it wasn't an iPad, a Final Cut Pro specific, Nick Ring says it was the A12. The A12 in the Apple TV. Philip Allen says, and the iPhone color. Yeah, they started talking about the iPhone 12, and I'm going, don't introduce a new iPhone 12. I just bought this one 6 months ago. Just a new color. So that's okay. Purple, whatever the heck it is. My wife is going to love the purple iMac, and I have the teal, and I'll have the teal. You getting 2 iMacs? So let's talk about, just basically, they have AirTags, okay? So AirTags are one of the things that they have coming up. iMac, let's see what they have here. We're going to go over all these things. The iPad Pro was specifically pretty darn impressive, I think. iPhone 12, we already know about that, just the purple one. AirTags. So the AirTags are interesting. Lose your knack for losing things. So it's just like they've had these out for a while. Let me move my thing over here. I'm not sure why it's off. Let me pull this over here. Let me just check this out a little bit. Wait a minute. Pull this in a little closer. I think that's the problem. It's not quite. There we go. So they have air tags first. Starting at $29, pricing is going to be, you get 4 for $99 starting Friday, right? I'll probably get 4. My keys once in a while gets misplaced, maybe let me see what else. We got some other things going on. These are just some of the small things. I'm not really that concerned about those. We're going to concentrate mostly on the Apple Final Cut Pro stuff. And the curious thing is, the iPad Pro for sure, we're going to talk about that. The new iPad Pro has, let me see if I can get this. There we go. Pull it over this way. There we go. So the new iPad Pro has the M1 chip. That's pretty darn interesting. Let's get to some of these comments. First, John Baptiste said, looking for the future 27-inch iMac and hoping we'll have more power. So that's what I'm looking for as well. Now, I'm not getting an iMac. I have a Mac Pro, which is going to be fine for years for me. It's not going to be a problem. I have plenty of power. I get everything that I need with a 34-inch screen, which you can see right here. This is my 34-inch screen that I'm looking at. This is what I have. So unless an iMac comes close to doing that, I'm not going to be changing anytime soon. So this is a 24-inch iMac, which is impressive, although it's still the M1 chip, but it has 4 ports, 2 Thunderbolt ports, 2 USB 3 ports. All 4 of them are USB-C. So let's go look at that real quick since we're talking about it. So here we go. All new inside and out, impossibly thin. It's incredibly thin. I was shocked at how thin it was. But I guess that's what happens when you put the M1 inside. 24-inch, 4K, the best speakers, mics, camera, and a Mac, supercharged by the M1 chip. Interesting, they haven't talked about anything other than an M1. So 7 colors, pretty interesting. Look how thin this thing is. It's like an iPad, right? It's like an iPad. I'm sure Final Cut will fly on it, though I think I'm going to wait for, well, I'm not getting an iMac. I'm not planning on getting an iMac anyway. I'm waiting for the MacBook Pro, the 16-inch. But I'd like to see an M1X or an M1 whatever, M2. That's very thin. It's pretty incredible. Pretty darn incredible. And the pricing, we know the pricing. Let's see what the pricing is. I know what it is. 24-inch iMac, blue, blue, blue. So they're all 8 cores still, which is interesting. 512 gigabytes of storage. Only 8 unified. Now, well, here we go. We got to have 16. They've got to have 16, right? It says 8. 8 core GPU, unified memory, 2 Thunderbolt ports, 2 USB 4 ports, which is good. Oh, 2 Thunderbolt USB 4 ports, 2 USB 3 ports. So 2 Thunderbolt USB 4 ports, but it's not Thunderbolt 4. Same as the MacBooks. It's Thunderbolt 3 / USB 4 ports and 2 Thunderbolt USB 3 ports. That's interesting. They still have not gone up to US Thunderbolt 4 yet. So let's see. Okay, order 4. Okay, you can't even order it yet. They've got to have a 16 gigabyte, right? Don't they? Gigabytes of RAM. Magic Mouse. We all know that stuff. Apple Care, of course. Jacob Rush products released, Apple Card updates, AirTags, iPhone 12 Purple, Apple TV 4K with the 812 chip, iMac Pro with M1 in 7 different colors, iPad Pro 11, iPad Pro 12.9 with Liquid Retina XDR display. That's pretty impressive. iPad Pro doesn't shoot HDR like the iPhone, Eric Emmerich says. It displays it though, right? I would like to see an M1X with a few more cores. It's a solid base level machine, but nothing looking forward to the next gen Pro machine. I think my estimation is we're going to see the Pro machines at WWDC 2 more months, a little less than 2 months, a little less than 60 days in June. That's when we're going to see perhaps a Pro M1X or an M2 chip that has, well, listen, 2 of the things that I wanted in a new Mac before I buy one is 4 ports. So they gave 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports / USB 4 ports and 2 USB 3 ports. At least that's 4 ports. Okay, that's not too bad. That's better. The other thing was I've been complaining about a long time. Finally, they're switching over to a 1080p camera instead of that 720p camera they have from 1999. It's ridiculous. They've had a 720p camera all this time. Finally, the 1080p camera. Now, the 1080p camera was on the iMac Pro, and was that the only one? I don't even think the new MacBook Pros have a 1080p camera. I think they all have 720p's. So the only Mac that had a 1080p camera so far was the iMac Pro, the old Intel iMac Pro. With my MacBook Pro late 2013, a new M1 and MacBook Pro is urgent. Torgrim, wait for WWDC. So they are clearly positioning the new iMac back to the consumer space where they flourish. Probably a good move so far. Heard, and I've seen rumors that they have a new iMac that's much bigger than 27-inch, or it's a different aspect ratio. It is more, wider and longer, so that we could be seeing that at WWDC. This is still, they said 2-year rollout. They just started last fall, so they're not even 1 year in yet. Give them a little time, but the Mac Pro. Okay, here we go. Nick Ring says $200 for the 16 gigabyte RAM upgrade. Well worth that. Comes close to $2K for an M1 with 512 and 16 gigabytes of RAM. So you're talking about the iMac, Nick, I presume, right? Yes, it says under tech specs, configurable 16 gigabyte unit by memory. Absolutely, that's great. So it's nice with all the new iMac colors, but still in the consumer product line. Yes, it is. Everything we've seen with this M1 chip so far is this is maybe a step up, but the first batch, the MacBook Air, the MacBook 13-inch Pro, and what else do they have? The square little thing. They're all entry level. This is a step up because it has 4 ports. USB 4 Thunderbolt is a Thunderbolt 4 port. They are the same. No, they are not. No, they are not. The USB 4 is not the same as Thunderbolt 4. I know OWC talks about it being the same. It's not the same. If it was the same, they would say Thunderbolt 4. They don't say Thunderbolt 4. It's Thunderbolt 3 / USB 4. It's not the same. Let's go look at that real quick. Let's see if we have specifications. What's in the box? Compare models. It's Thunderbolt 3, not Thunderbolt 4. If it was Thunderbolt 4, Apple would say Thunderbolt 4. I'm not saying it's not the same speed. I'm just saying it's not the same port. It's physically the same port. Let me see if they have spec storage. See, they're very clever, Apple is. Thunderbolt ports, but they don't say some Thunderbolt 4 ports because it's not Thunderbolt 4, it's Thunderbolt 3. Thunderbolt USB 4 does not equal Thunderbolt 4. They're very close. They're very close, but they're not the same. Let's see something here. Let me see if they have specs. Specs. Tech specs. Here we go. .1080p camera, thank goodness. Here we go. Thunderbolt 3 digital video output. Not Thunderbolt 4. It's not the same. There's a little bit difference. See? Thunderbolt 3. If it was Thunderbolt 4, they would tell you it's Thunderbolt 4. It's not Thunderbolt 4. Now, I understand Thunderbolt 4/USB 4 are close in specifications. I'm not talking about the speed. The speed in Thunderbolt 4 is definitely up there with Thunderbolt 3. But there are some differences, and that's why Apple, this is Thunderbolt 3. It's not Thunderbolt 4. They're very clever. 2 Thunderbolt USB 4 ports. They try to, the marketing there is trying to pretend like it's Thunderbolt 4, but it's not. It's Thunderbolt 3. Is there a big difference in the real world? No, there's not. There's not a real difference in the world. In real world speed and stuff, it's going to be fine. Thunderbolt 3 is very, very fast, but it's not Thunderbolt 4. Okay, let's go back. Mac Mini. What about the Mac Mini? Yes, they are what? They are not the same. I just showed you that. Thunderbolt 3, very specifically, it is not Thunderbolt 4. Thunderbolt 3 is not Thunderbolt 4. They're not the same. They're close in performance, but they're not the same. USB 4 does not equal Thunderbolt 4. It's not the same. I'm not talking about the specs and the speed. You can talk about that all you want. Go look up Thunderbolt 4 and you'll see what I'm talking about. Keep in mind that is still entry-level Macs. We will have more Pro Macs in the future. Absolutely. I think this is a step up from entry-level. The last batch were entry-level. They only had 2 ports. So this has 4 ports now. It has 2 Thunderbolt 3/USB 4 ports and 2 strictly USB 3 ports, which is good because I like to see having 4 Thunderbolt 4 ports. Eric says, I stand corrected. Seems the difference is mostly what size display they support. Yes, there's only a little bit of difference, Eric, but there is a difference between Thunderbolt 3/USB 4 and Thunderbolt 4. There is some small differences, not in speed. They're just about equal, but some small differences. Yes. But Apple's clever when they do that. USB 3, 2 Thunderbolt USB 4 ports. They try to act like it's Thunderbolt 4. It's not. It's not. It's coming. Yes, it's absolutely coming. So one of the things, let's see something here. One of the things that I found very interesting was the iPad Pro now has an M1 chip in it. So they've gone up from the A12 or A14, whatever they are, to the M1. And now the iPad Pro has Thunderbolt connectivity. That's incredible. That is really, really incredible. I'm not in the market for a new iPad. I'm not using it that much yet, but I certainly would consider that. So, LumaFusion. LumaFusion was mentioned six times, half a dozen times, plus it had Terry Morgan from LumaFusion, which I've had on Final Cut Pro TV Live, multiple times. She was even featured in it. Apple featured LumaFusion 6 times on that video. I'm really glad they have this new Apple TV remote control. I just don't like the old one. I have one that's a couple generations behind. So there's Tim. So this was interesting. Resolve, they show. But nowhere on there is Final Cut Pro. Nowhere on there is Final Cut Pro. Listen, I hope WWDC is going to have a lot of Final Cut Pro. That's what I'm hoping. So let's just see if I can capture. There's the iMacs, which are really nice. Beautiful, beautiful machines, really nice. Let's see. Look how thin those things are. Doesn't that look like a iPad? Looks like the iPad, except it's bigger. So they talk about that. Let me see if I can find. I'm just skipping ahead. Touch to get in. Let me see if I can fast forward through here. So the screen on the iPad, there you go. There's LumaFusion. There's LumaFusion. They showed LumaFusion many times. A half a dozen times I saw it on there. So to me, that means if Final Cut Pro comes to the iPad, if and when, it's not coming anytime soon. If it was coming in even in June, I don't know why they would promote LumaFusion so heavily, unless they're going to buy it. And I've talked to Terry about that, had her on the show, and I've talked to her about that before. But look, they're promoting that. Very peaceful and quiet out there in my backyard. This is Final Cut Pro Radio headquarters, backyard. I can scroll around, show you different areas. I can zoom in just to the bird feeder. It's a Mevo Start camera that I have out there. It's streaming back to my Mac Pro wirelessly. Any birds out there? No. It's nice. What's the temperature? It's 73 degrees on the east coast of the USA. 73 degrees on the good old east coast of the USA. So Phil Allen says maybe they'll buy LumaFusion. I've talked to LumaFusion about that. They'd say they have to see what the offer is. They like their company. That's because when Apple went to release the M1 Max to Thunderbolt, name was trademarked and so until, blah, blah, blah. No, there's some other issues going on. They're just not ready. The Thunderbolt 4 is not on the M1 yet, apparently, right? That's all. It'll be there, but like I said, there's only a little bit of difference between Thunderbolt 4, Thunderbolt 3, and USB 4. Not that much, but there is a difference. Doesn't seem such high-profile promo of LumaFusion that Apple is in the hurry to add Final Cut Pro 10 to the iPad. I agree. It's not ready. I think at some point it'll be there, but LumaFusion is already years ahead of where Final Cut Pro on the iPad will be because they've had years to develop it. This, by the way, is my 69 Strat. My modified. I've modded it up. Nick Ring says, Final Cut Pro is still a limitation of the iPad OS, I imagine. Interesting to see what they announced for iPad OS that will complement this new M1 iPad Pro. So we have not seen a version of Final Cut Pro running on iOS, iPad OS. That's absolutely correct. We've only seen it on Mac OS. Probably, while we haven't seen it yet, do I think it's going to get there? Perhaps eventually. I mean, it doesn't seem like it'll never be there. So, but since they promoted LumaFusion so heavily on this iPad Pro event, I'm saying that the Final Cut Pro version of it is not ready yet. Not going to be. I'd be surprised if they're going to see it at WWDC. That's where I expect to see all the Final Cut Pro news. They didn't announce. I mean, they showed Resolve. They didn't show Final Cut Pro. They do that a lot, though, right? They've done that in the past. They have some kind of a. I'm not sure why. Maybe because WWDC. We'll see. We'll see how that works out. So let's go see the. So some of the interesting is audio's been improved in the iMac. High fidelity 6-speaker system with force canceling woofers, wide stereo sound support for spatial audio when playing video with Dolby Atmos. Studio quality 3 microarray, support for Hey Siri. Still got a headphone jack, configurable with gigabit Ethernet. I'm not sure. Oh, the one only has 2 ports. Look at that. One only has 2 ports. I would not get any Mac with 2 ports. This has 3. And you can get, apparently, the gigabit Ethernet with the cheaper one, but it comes with it naturally on the more expensive one. Bluetooth 5, size and weight. This thing is incredible. It's not for me. I'm not going to get it. The first thing I would be getting would be the MacBook Pro. I'm not going to be buying anything else. I have let's see what we can find out about the iPad. iMac. Here we go. iPad Pro. This is more interesting to me than supercharged by the Apple M1 chip. This is more interesting to me than the iMac. Although if I was getting a Mac right now, if I needed one, the iMac looks really, really great. So it has the M1 chip. Is it going to be able to run Mac OS? Well, we'll have to see about that, won't we? XDR Liquid Retina to the extreme. That is also interesting. 5G, if you want to do that. I don't do my Mac iPads with cellular. Power couple. See, look at this. It looks like the iMac. Same kind of stand, really thinness. 8-core, 16-core neural engine. So they've made the jump. The M1 chip has made the jump to the iPad. Isn't that interesting? And then this display, is it the same as the XDR display? That's incredible. They put that in the iPad. Thousand nits, full screen brightness, peak brightness 1600, True Tone. Incredible, incredible. If I was getting something right now, I would probably get the iPad Pro, but I'm not. Not in the market. Incredible, incredible stuff there. Let's look at a few more comments. Are they building a new Final Cut Pro since it's 10 years old? I think the lack of innovation in Final Cut Pro for the last 2 years is probably because they're working on they're rebuilding it from the ground up into a new app. Whatever's going on, I think that's invariably what's happening. So we'll have to see, and I think WWDC will be a good time, at least to give us a preview if they don't release it. They said 1 stream of 8K, 4 streams of 4K on new iMac. LumaFusion already does 4 streams of 4K on the old iPad Pro. Well, there you go. There you go. I'll be getting a new iPad Pro Max. That is my favorite device. So I like the iPad Pro. I like the iPad with my pencil, with my Apple Pencil a lot. And I think I would do the same thing. Seems I can use current Magic Keyboard with new iPad. Thankful if true. That's one of the things I would get. So does your Magic Keypad have a trackpad on it as well? Because I would use that as much as I would, touching the screen. I would use that as much as I would touching the screen. So people talk about, I mentioned that if we get a touchscreen version of Final Cut Pro on the iPad, will we get a touchscreen MacBook Pro? Because Apple has them in their headquarters. They're testing them out. They've been testing them out for years. Whether we see it or not, we'll have to see. I don't know for a fact if we will. Yeah, I would get, if I got an iPad, is it $1,000? Is that what it is? $999. Yes to trackpad. Good. That's what I'd like to have. I'd like to have the trackpad plus keyboard plus the ability to touch and drag. So what does that mean for Final Cut Pro on the iPad? Don't know. It's not coming this week. It's not coming this week. Jacob Rush says, just my thoughts, they are working on a new Final Cut Pro and possibly a light version for iPad OS, and then you can interchange them via XML like iMovie on Mac OS to Final Cut Pro. Well, yes, Jacob, I think we're going to see a version. I think it's going to be a compromised version. It's not going to be the full power of Final Cut Pro on the Mac OS. It's just no way they can do that. But you can do that now with LumaFusion. You can edit on LumaFusion, which is a superior iPad NLE editing experience. By far, it's hands down the best NLE on the iPad right now. And you can get the add-on Final Cut Pro export. I think it's like $20. We gave some copies away in the past. We'll see if I can do the same. I'll get them back on some point and see if I can do the same. Give away a copy of that. So you can now edit on LumaFusion on the iPad, especially the supercharged one now. Especially, here's the thing, Thunderbolt connection to your hard drives now, that's very, very fast. It's much better than USB-C connection, which is a little bit of a bottleneck. So that's one of the things that's going to be fantastic. If you can access your media on an external hard drive without copying it to the iPad storage, that'll be a game changer. That will be a game changer for LumaFusion. Hopefully that's the Thunderbolt port is going to allow that, or iPad OS, whatever. You can edit on LumaFusion, export it. If you want to take it into Final Cut Pro, you can export it via FCP XML. They have that available currently. There we go. I don't know where the birds are. Must be too hot for them. It must be too hot for the birds. So let's go back to this. There she is. We just saw her. That was Terry Morgan from. There's LumaFusion. LumaFusion for the iPad is phenomenal. If this Thunderbolt connection lets you work with external media without have to copy it to the iPad storage, that'll be a game changer. That will also probably tempt me to buy the iPad with Thunderbolt. Let me just check on something here. Let me just check on one or two things. There we go. Yes. Let me just take care of a little business here. Have to check. Have to do one thing real quick. Now, where is my... I just have to do one thing real quick here. I have to... Here we go. This won't take very long. Copy. 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 I'm just posting the live stream in another group. Here we go. So people can enjoy it. But listen, I just keep talking about LumaFusion. I'm a big fan of LumaFusion. They are far more advanced than a version of Final Cut Pro would be coming up if and when they bring Final Cut Pro to the iPad. LumaFusion's already light years ahead of them. LumaFusion has features that Final Cut Pro doesn't have. Notice the colored lanes there, the colored clips. You can cut clips. You have under the viewer, you have a master timeline. That's another thing. There's just all kinds of things that they don't even have in Final Cut. So accessories. There we go. Fantastic. All righty. Next week, there will be Final Cut Pro 11 launched with iOS 14.5. I don't think so. I think it's going to be Final Cut Pro 10.6. We'll get the iPad for sure. Excited to try out the ultra-wide camera. That's another thing. So they've also done the iPad camera. They've increased the iPad. I'm more excited about the iPad Pro with Thunderbolt connectivity, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait and see what happens with the MacBook Pro. Does the iPad have a 1080p camera now? But they've enhanced the iPad for streaming and stuff with a different camera. Did somebody find out? Let's go find out. Does the iPad have a 1080p camera? I don't know. I know the iMac does. Let's see. Let's see. Here we go. Size and width. Let me see. Built-in connections to volume. Camera, microphone. Thunderbolt USB 4. Let's see if it says. Yeah, it says Pro camera system. Optical, 2 times optical zoom out. Well, that's interesting. I didn't see that mentioned. Pro camera system, wide and ultra wide cameras, but are they 1080p? I don't think they are. Oh, here we go. Video recording, 4K video recording. So it is. It's a 4K camera, but I'm talking about the FaceTime one. The one facing, I know the backside is 4K video recording. 1080p, 2 times optical zoom out. I didn't know that. They had a 2 times optical. True depth camera. Oh yeah, there we go. 1080p video recording. There we go. It is a 1080p camera for the FaceTime. I know the other side is. Very, very interesting. All right. It's more than I expected. The iMac was kind of like what I expected. 4 ports. Some other neat stuff on the higher end one. But the iPad Pro with the M1 chip, that's pretty incredible. Yeah, at this point, if Apple came out and said we're not going to have a 16-inch MacBook Pro in 2021, I would probably get the iPad Pro at this point. I want to see, though, this is the main thing. I want to see if that Thunderbolt connection, if you can connect regular hard drives like SSD hard drives to it and get the full speed that you get on the Mac. I have a Thunderbolt 3 NVMe SSD 2 terabyte hard drive connected to my Mac Pro, and I get 2,000 to 3,000 megabits per second transfer speed on that thing. I want to see if the iPad does that. And with LumaFusion specifically, if you don't have to get the media from your external hard drive and then copy it into the iPad storage in order to edit, because that's what you have to do now. So hopefully that is not the case. Hopefully you could, since it's now Thunderbolt, you can actually access your media on the external drive. If that's the case, I'll be very interested. I'll be looking at the iPad Pro. Apple may be getting more of my money this year than I was expecting. If that's the case, I'll probably get the 12.9 iPad Pro with the keyboard, and I already have an Apple Pencil, but I got the version 1, I think, if that's the case. So that'll be very interesting. I'll be up close to $2,000 buying that thing probably. What's going on in the backyard? There's a bird. Looks like a sparrow or a female cardinal. Not sure which. One or the other. Enjoying the hot weather. So it was a very nice event today. All kinds of neat stuff. I'm excited. I don't know if I'm going to get the Apple TV, except for the remote control. I don't need it. I don't watch Apple TV that much. There's only a few things I watch on Apple TV, and what I'm doing right now is fine as far as that goes. So I don't think I'll be getting an Apple TV, but the iPad Pro is absolutely something that I'll be looking at. But I'll wait till WWDC unless there's some kind of an incentive to get it early. Like when I got my Mac Pro, Apple offered 6% cash back if you use the Apple card to buy the Mac Pro. So right off the bat, I spent about $10,500 on my Mac Pro. I got like $600, $700 back right off the top, like 6% or whatever that was, $700 off the top. So if they did something like that for the iPad Pro, I would consider it. But I'm not really expecting it. All righty. So if you wanted to find out about the iPad, all the new stuff, just go to apple.com. You don't have to go anywhere else. Just go to apple.com. You can go right and find out all about it. You can watch the keynote there if you didn't see the keynote. You don't have to go anywhere else to find out about the iMacs. The iMacs are right there. There's the iMac. You can get all the specifications, all the stuff that you need. Just go right to apple.com. You don't have to go anywhere else. To the iPad, same way. All the information's right there. iPhone 12, well, that didn't change except for the color. I've had an iPhone 12. AirTags, I'll be getting the 4-pack. I will be getting the 4-pack. Apple TV. Yeah, I'm not going to be getting that. They don't have enough content that I'm really that interested in. I watch Netflix a lot more than Apple TV. Netflix and Amazon Prime. I don't need Apple TV for that. So I did like Servant a lot. Servant's a pretty creepy TV series from M. Night Shyamalan. It's very good. The morning show was good, but I have a feeling it's going to end up being something I don't care about in the next season. We'll see. A12 Bionic chip, all new Siri remote. Thank God for the new Siri remote. That's for sure. Very, very interesting. So if you want to find out about it, just go to apple.com. All you want to know is right there. It's available. Apple has tested iPad Pro models with Thunderbolt port to make them compatible with additional external monitors, hard drives, and peripherals from Mac rumors. I understand that, but I want to make sure that they have the full speed of an SSD drive. Worth it. Worth is for Ted Lasso alone. Love it. So, Eric, that's a comedy, right? I keep seeing that. I guess I'll watch that. I have Apple TV until June, I think. I got it for free until June. I'll tune in. The preview of the next semester. Yeah, I'm not saying that it's not good stuff. I'm just saying that Tiny World, great stuff. It's not enough of the good stuff. I liked Servant the best by far on Apple TV. As a matter of fact, I was surprised some of the content on Servant was on Apple TV because they're usually more, family oriented, but Servant's definitely not family oriented. It's got a lot of harsher stuff on it. So yeah, but that's only one thing. Ted Lasso, maybe the morning show, Tiny World, that's only a couple of shows. I have dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of shows I watch on Netflix. So I'm not going to buy into Apple TV just for one show. I might for a month and then whatever. Apple TV, Nick Ring says, Apple TV and Amazon 4K Fire Stick. The Fire Stick interface is overwhelmed by ads, except for the remote. Apple TV is substantially better experience. I understand that. I'm talking about the content. The content. I have the Netflix app. I don't have a Fire Stick. I have a Netflix app that goes right in my TV. I don't get any ads at all. I don't get any ads at all. So I don't have a Fire Stick. I'm not interested in the Fire Stick. It goes right to my TV. I have a Netflix app. I have an Amazon Prime app. Goes right there. Now, I do like some of the shows on HBO, so I will subscribe. I'll wait for all the episodes to be available, and then I'll subscribe for a month, maybe 2 months, watch them all, then unsubscribe, so I'm not paying all of that monthly, over and over again, monthly charge. For All Mankind is pretty good. Just have to get past the first 3 episodes. Yeah, I watched that as well. I watched the first season, have not watched the second season yet. But so far, my favorite show on Apple TV is Servant by far. But then I'm a big David Lynch fan. So if you understand what David Lynch is about, Twin Peaks and Mulholland Drive and Lost Highway, you might understand why I like Servant. It's a much darker TV series. Got some pretty disturbing imagery in it, but I like it anyway. So what was your favorite feature of the event today? Once again, it was a virtual event. Tim Cook was a little boring. True, not enough Apple content yet. That will change. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying the quality of the individual shows, because some of them are fantastic. Although, some I'm not interested in at all. Distinguishing between the Apple device and the service, I have Apple TV app on the Fire Stick, Amazon on the Apple TV device, etc. Exactly. Yeah, I don't. iPad Pro 12.9, 11 inches, the same display. Is that right? 11 and the 12.9 is the same display? That seems thought it was XDR. Let me just check on something here. What was your favorite feature today on the Apple event? Mine by far was the iPad Pro 12.9 with Thunderbolt. That was by far my favorite. The iMac, if I was in the market for a Mac, it was also good, but it seems like it's not the Pro level that I'm looking for. I'm looking for the MacBook Pro with I don't want to get the M1 chip. I want to get the M1X or M2 chip. I want something with 32 gigabytes of RAM and whatever else, the next generation. This seems like it's still the first generation. On the iPad, it's very cool. It's very cool. So that's what I'm iPad Pro. That's what I'm most interested in at this point. What were some of your favorite things today? Tim Cook's a little boring. He's fine. He's functional. He's a little bit on the boring side. I wish, I'm glad they had a lot of other people. I don't know where, for example, WWDC, we're going to see Craig Federini and all the other people down in the Apple labs, hopefully. That will be interesting, of course. All right, video. What's going on back in the backyard? Nothing. Let's go over to the side over here. I'm working on the firewood. You can barely see it on the left-hand side. I'm restacking my firewood from the winter to the summer. And then my girlfriend is working on her garden, which is right there. Zoom in a little bit on that. She's going to be having tomatoes and cucumbers and all kinds of good stuff coming up. But I always show the bird feeder in case there's any birds coming out. Sometime the squirrel tries to get up there. He hasn't made it up there yet. So that's a good one. Eric, the couch diving AirTag commercial was the best thing today. It was excellent. It was exceptionally good. I like that they do these videos that aren't live, but that was very, very good. I'm going to get the AirTags, a 4-pack, one for my keys, maybe one for my whatever. I'm not sure what else. Maybe my backpack. And I'll give one for my girlfriend probably for her keys. iPad Pro will be long-lasting, definitely a favorite. I agree. I think the iPad was my favorite event because the iMac was fine, but it's still the M1 chip. So if I developed LumaFusion, I would be beside myself. I'll have Terry and Chris back on from LumaFusion, back on Final Cut Pro TV Live, and we will talk to them all about how they've got to be tickled with that. Apple Video Team. So, Tim, how much are we allowed to spend on the transitions? Tim, yes. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that Tim knows exactly what Final Cut Pro is. I know Steve Jobs did. We know for a fact that Steve Jobs did. Those are really cool transitions. What transitions are you referring to, Jacob? I wasn't paying attention. Let's see what we got coming. You know what? Am I getting any? Oh, that's interesting. I'm not getting any Facebook comments. Huh. I should be getting Facebook comments, but I'm not getting any Facebook comments. Let's see if there's any comments on Facebook. Apparently there are. Yeah, the comments on Facebook aren't coming through. I can't post them. There's a bunch of them on there, but I can't post them. So we will have to just deal with the YouTube comments. YouTube seems to be more popular for Final Cut Pro. Anyway. All right. So I'm glad that they did that. So AirTags are only as good as the method which they are attached to the thing of value. No, that's correct. So I'll attach them to my key ring. I don't have my key ring here. And then you can put one in your knapsack, right? Just put it inside one of the pockets or whatever, leave it in there in case your knapsack goes wandering ever. No iPod Air Pro 3 either. iPod Air Pro 3, I'm not sure. Oh, AirPods, I think you mean. That's correct. One of the very welcome features of the new iMacs is a wireless keyboard with Touch ID. Yes, because I don't even have that on mine. Look, this is my Mac Pro keyboard, no Touch ID on it. And I asked them years ago about if they could put the Touch ID on the wireless keyboard, and Apple said yes, they could. I vote for the couch dive also. That was very clever. That was very, very clever, going into the couch. Because you saw on there all the change from Tim Cook's couch. And I often say anytime there's something missing in Final Cut, you could buy it with the change in Tim Cook's couch. So that was very cool. I absolutely agree. But the iPad with Thunderbolt, with the M1 chip and Thunderbolt connectivity is my favorite. That is the most tempting for me at this point. I'll have to wait. I'm not in any hurry. I'm fine. I got my Mac Pro completely fine. I got this giant screen. You can see how wide it is, 34 inches wide. It's an LG. This is not even, it's not even a, I think it's Thunderbolt 2, not Thunderbolt 3. But you can see how big everything's going on here. We're watching all kinds of stuff. That's hard to once I'm used to editing on that, it's hard to go back just to a regular screen. Certainly not a 13-inch MacBook Pro. I just couldn't do that. The iMac Pro, the iPad Pro with Thunderbolt, that's what I'm most interested in. As long as the Thunderbolt 3 has full speed access to the hard drives, SSD hard drives. That's the main thing. That's the main thing. Let's see what else we have here. Just refreshing one of the pages. There we go. What's going on here? We're watching. All righty. We are good for today, I believe. We are good for today. Philip Allen says, do you ever get burn-in with those things on your screen so long? They're not on the screen that long. They're maybe an hour. Plus, this is an LG monitor. I'm not that concerned about it. It's an older monitor. I had this monitor with my 2017 iMac. So I had the iMac left and I had the LG monitor on the right. So I had a really long view. Now I have this LG monitor and I have a vertical monitor, 24-inch, I think it's 20, maybe 27-inch, vertically over on the side, so I can drag things over to it that I don't need on the main screen. Let me just show you. This is what I have on my side screen. Let me just do this real quick. I think, here. So let me just go over here. Secondary display. So this is my vertical monitor, and this is my audio stuff. United Audio, these are all the compressors and stuff. Everything I'm running that you're hearing right now is running through this Manley Vobox, and then I have a channel strip over here with a noise gate. Noise gate's right here. You can see it. And then that's a preamp, actually. And then I have a tape thing too. Yeah, you can see that. I have a tape oxide. This is the channel strip. The noise gate's right here. You can see it goes on when I'm not talking. This is a nice, these are all analog emulation plugins that are running in real time. Very expensive. This stuff is really expensive. Even the plugins are expensive. But that's my audio setup. Love the couch dive. I hope that they find the old PC guide. That would have been funny. That would have been very funny, Torgrim, if they did. iPad Pro 12, 9, 11. These two are the same display like the mini LED and have the same processor and any new iPad mini 6. Burn is not possible. Possible. I have the TV tube monitors. Yeah, I don't know how that works. Burn. I don't have any problem with burn-in that I've noticed. All right. So just go to apple.com if you want to find out more. You don't have to go anywhere else. Just apple.com is the only place you have to go. Nobody else has any more information than Apple does. All right, everyone, I'm going to head out of here. If you have any questions, Rob Fisher says, no audio delay with this many plugins. How do you route this into Ecamm? So United Audio, let me show you. This device, Rob, has its own processor. It has processors in this box that process all those plugins in real time. I mean, you're talking 1 or 2 milliseconds delay. So this device processes all the plugins in this box. So it's software / hardware, but this is the reason there's no delay. I do have a 5-frame delay into Ecamm. But that's why there's no delay. And it's not cheap. It's not the cheap setup. Burn-in, sorry. Nick Ring says, thank you. Bye, Richard. Love your sessions. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks for the show. Will it run the new Final Cut Pro, the new iPad Pro? Not yet. Not yet. But listen, they featured LumaFusion 6 times on the thing today. They wouldn't be having Final Cut Pro come out next week on the iPad and then feature LumaFusion so prominently, I wouldn't think, in an Apple event. So I would say Final Cut Pro probably will get to there, but it'll be a light version. It'll be a light version, not the full power of Final Cut Pro on the desktop. There's no way. Just can't do it. But I think at some point they'll have a light version of Final Cut Pro Lite. Maybe it'll take the place of iMovie. Maybe it'll be iMovie Pro. Who the heck knows? Anyway, everyone, I'm going to head out of here. You can always go to fcpradio.com to find out more. You can go to our Facebook group, facebook.com groups/Final Cut Pro Radio, TV, I call it now. Of course, this is the YouTube component of what you're watching. Everybody's watching on there now, youtube.com, Richard Taylor TV. And I'm going to head out of here and see what's going on around my headquarters. So this is like over 200 live streams that I've done so far. Nobody comes close to the amount of live streams. Did they reveal new LumaFusion features? No, they did not, but they had it on screen 6 times. They had Terry Morgan from LumaFusion talking on camera a couple different places. They showed the interface multiple times. So we'll have Terry and Chris back on Final Cut Pro TV Live, and they're going to be big smiles on their faces. Listen, I appreciate everybody saying thanks. I want to thank you for tuning in. I appreciate all the people. Don't forget to subscribe over there on YouTube. Hit the like button if you like these. It's always encouraging. We got 5 likes already. So I'm going to head out. Rob says, bye, Richard. Thanks so much for your sessions. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I'll see you the next time something happens